so it's daytime as you wished. Ah, that's good. But soon the sun will go down and the lighting will change and it will be dark and I'll be quiet and you guys will be complaining and well, I'll try to make it quick. But before I get to today's topic, I wanted to let you guys know that I launched my Patreon page. Yes! Yes! I'll link it below, so check it out. If you can't support me that way, just keep watching my videos because that will do as good. But yeah, hopefully I'll be making money and so that I don't have to worry about other things than creating content. That'll be really great. So I'm really excited about creating a community there, but enough about Patreon. So today's topic is something that you guys were asking me in the comment section on my previous video, and which was, what does Japan think of Mr. Trump talking to the Taiwanese president Tai? Is it Tai? Or we call her Sai, but whatever. I will tell you that the conservatives here were like, I personally was like, oh my gosh, like Trump senpai, you did it! I was really surprised that he would do that. Like, you know, sometimes politicians or whatever leaders, they say stuff, but they don't do things. And some people are criticizing in a way that, oh, well, it's just a phone call, whatever, but that is such a huge message against the Chinese Communist Party. Like, you have no idea. Like, we were reacting so much. I posted the news article on my personal Facebook page and I got so many likes, like hundreds. I think definitely over hundreds, like a couple of hundred. The basic idea that you need to know about Japan and Taiwan is that Japanese conservatives love Taiwan. It's like we are brothers and sisters, and like we were one nation before, and some Taiwanese people back in the day may have suffered, but I hear good things from the Taiwanese people even today. And even though young people like us, and we just have this amazing bond, and they're the first one usually to help us when, you know, we have earthquakes and stuff. And of course America helps us a lot too, and all the other nations, but I just want to make a point that we are very close. I've been to Taiwan once too. I actually met the 90-something years old amazing leader there, former leader Ri Toki sensei. I don't know how to say that in English, but yeah. I'm personally overwhelmed because Trump senpai is still an American person. Right? And he will be dealing with all the Chinese pets in the United States, and he did that. So, wow. I'll link this Japanese blog article so that you can maybe read it via Google Translate or something like that. Anyways, now I'm gonna try to explain things in details, okay? So on December 2nd, Henry Kissinger visited Beijing and met the Chinese president there. And on the next day, the very next day, like right after, Mr. Trump talked to the Taiwanese president Tai on the phone. At this point, you can already see that Mr. Trump has balls to embarrass Kissinger like that, because I assume that Kissinger has power, or like he's even known in Japan as a Chinese pet. And yeah, they were probably like, oh, China and America will be good friends from now on too, blah blah blah. And then the next day, like right after that, Trump senpai comes in and cuts it, right, with the Taiwanese president. He's probably like, you know what, I'm the next president, you just behave. At least that's how I picture the scene. And the action itself was amazing too, as you guys all know, because the relationship between the US and Taiwan had been cut since the 1979. But another amazing thing is that Mr. Trump called Ms. Tai as president. And why is that amazing? Well, I will read a section of the Wall Street Journal article. The One China policy refers to the fiction which Beijing still maintains that Taiwan is a province of the People's Republic. Mr. Trump broke a Chinese taboo merely by using Ms. Tai's title, the Times notes. The Chinese state news media referred to the Taiwanese president as the leader of the Taiwan region to indicate that Beijing regards Taiwan not as a sovereign nation, but as a Chinese territory to eventually be brought under its control. This means is that Mr. Trump respects Taiwanese people's democracy rather than the selfish expanding dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party. Yes, so amazing! amazing. And on December 5th, Mr. Trump tweeted and criticized the Chinese military expansion in the South China Sea and also their manipulation on their currency, etc. And how the Japanese conservatives are receiving Mr. Trump's policy is that among the people around him, like Mr. Trump, such as his advisors or politicians, there are probably a lot of so-called dragon slayer. Do you guys know what they are? Dragon in this case is of course the Chinese Communist Party that should be slain. According to the Professor Peter Navarro, whatever the pronunciation is, so with the benefits that China gets out of currency manipulation and one-sided trade rules and so forth, they get to use their illegally earned money for their military, and thus they're exposing the world to their threat. China actually grew because of the investment of the US, like through the Clinton administration, and of course Japan did something extra to that too. Sometimes they say that they're developed countries, and other times they will say that they're a developing country, and in order to get money from other countries, and with the money that should be invested in something like certain things, they use it for something else, like military. That has been happening all along, and Japan is bad for that. Like, we should have cut ODA like a long time ago, but as I said, in LDP, like, which is our governing party, like for such a long time, there are a lot of Chinese pets, so things like that happen. This is known in the US or in the world, but the Chinese Communist Party is, as Mr. Trump mentioned, expanding their military base and power in the South China Sea, and which will eventually let them attack America, like physically, or at least it will let them threat the country with their expanded military power, right? As I introduced you guys before, they have the dream to cut the Pacific Ocean into half and conquer the west half, and they want their land and territory to be bigger. And in order to make it happen, they want more military weapons and stuff, and so they have been oppressing and slaughtering people in Tibet, Uyghurs, South Mongolia, and I hear that Communist China does military experiments in Uyghur to, like, you know, nuclear ones, and they bury it or something. Like, it's awful. The people are, I feel so bad about the people that are wounded, but no wonder why Hong Kong and Taiwan are suffering too because of them. And what's worse, the Chinese Communist Party is getting onto Okinawa. Like, they're sometimes I get asked by foreign people here, like, oh, what do you think of Okinawa situation? In Okinawa, there are so many Japanese people that are protesting against the US military. They always say, like, oh, Osprey is so dangerous, like, oh, the US military, get out of Okinawa, blah blah blah. And I will tell you, they're not normal people. They are paid activists. Like, they're leftists, paid leftists, and a lot of them come from like other regions, like other prefectures of Japan, and they travel there and get together and have fun and also protest so that they can get paid, that kind of stuff. And teachers union has a lot to do with it, and I'm pretty sure there are many other like labor union and so forth that are involved in. It's all leftist. Sometimes there's the sign that they have has Chinese or Korean language on the back of that and stuff. So like, oh man, the situation is so bad that I shouldn't be laughing, but it's just so, I get overwhelmed, you know. I just don't want you guys to worry that, you know, like Japanese people, like normal Japanese people really appreciate that, you know, friendship and relationship that we have with the United States. But yeah, so Asians are suffering from the Chinese Communist Party, even their own people, like in China. And actually, like a lot of Chinese people, like inside of the Chinese land, they are trying to have democracy, but they can't really do anything about it, I guess. Like, we all should remember what happened in the Tiananmen Square, you know. If you happen to be Chinese and watching this video, please look up Tiananmen Square massacre. Yeah, what we were fighting against is the Chinese Communist Party and not Chinese people, like citizens, even though it includes like, you know, activists and stuff. But, and of course, like in Japan, there are so many foreign students that protest too. Stupidly enough, our government pays scholarship, like they give money to foreign students, right? Like especially in China and South Korea, I guess. And sometimes the foreign students get together and do protests and stuff because there's an order by the Chinese Communist Party and stuff. And I don't know why our government is paying them, you know. I don't know, things don't make sense to me. And it was the party that was supporting like the future generation, you know. The party was trying to stop the scholarship system and stuff, but they lost, you know, drastically. So but yeah, so it's important, I think, that there are even Chinese people that want democracy, you know. And we're just so sick and tired of the Chinese Communist Party already. They're even reaching to Australia. Like they buy the ports or whatever. Like I just have a bad feeling about Australia. But I did hear from my friend that after Trump senpai won, things there kind of changed to better. So I'm hoping that things will be better. But I think that Tibet is famous for getting oppressed, right, in the world. But in South Mongolia, for example, 80% of the population are now Chinese people. But I will make a separate video on that, like on that country, and explain how things are there soon, I think. But yeah, China has been also destroying the environment in those areas by military experiments, building factories and cutting the food chain and all that kind of things. What's worse is that all those things are made in China, so there will be consequences, bad consequences. However, though, when I posted a video to protest against the massacre of the Uyghur people done by China, there were some people that overreacted to Uyghur people being Muslims. But I'm friends with them, alright? Japanese conservatives have been helping Uyghur people. Yeah, the Muslim people. We've been helping them all along. So they can take back their own land from the Chinese Communist Party and live happily with their families again. Like, do you see how things work? Like, it's not like they're here to invade Japan, those Muslim people from Uyghur. They are here for help, because their place is stolen and they have to do something about it. But if they are inside of the place, they can't do anything. So that's why they are here. And that's why we're friends. The thief, the dictator, the criminal is the Chinese Communist Party, not Uyghur Muslims. Because the international society, especially the Western countries, ignore the fact and bash Muslim by extreme analysis, now China has made up the excuse that they are fighting against Islam, which is a huge lie. The Chinese Communist Party has been on this military strategy for such a long time, like even before ISIS was born. Like you gotta be careful, like don't be deceived just because it sounds good to you. Now the radical Muslims, like, you know, ISIS people and stuff, they're approaching the Uyghur Muslims that are suffering from the Chinese Communist Party, and Uyghur people don't want to accept terrorists, but they may have to because nobody saves them. You know what I mean? What's interesting about the international society is that they bash radical Muslims, right? But they do not bash radical Buddhists. Yes, there is such a thing. There are radical Buddhists. It's kind of funny when you imagine that because of the, you know, impression that you have from Buddhism, but it's the same thing for Islam, you know? All the things that terrorists are doing is against the religion. So I won't bash you if you have different opinions, because you have your own place, you have your own things to protect yourself from. But like, I just hope that people won't be any more biased, and instead I hope that people will see like what's really going on in details before jumping into conclusions. Even the situation that terrorists are in. For example, when I look at the history in Middle East, terrorism or some drastic change which can be dangerous happens when there is a huge financial gap and stuff, which is against their religion. So I'm like, who's a bad guy here, you know? Like, and of course the huge gap is born because there are selfish people, like in the rich people, and so like, I mean, killing random people is of course bad and stuff, but you know what I mean. And also they attack sightseeing places like Paris and others, but that is because that's where countries make money, and if the cities are labeled as dangerous, then it will stop foreigners from visiting. another aspect is that, you know, Western countries drew lines for borders and imposed them in the past without considering the local situations or, you know, the feeling of the local people. Of course, if you do that kind of thing without well analysis, then things will be chaotic and people will be mad. And Europe is full of immigrants right now, right? But a lot of those who are coming into Europe are now coming from the previously colonized nations, such as English-speaking Egyptians or French-speaking Algerians, Tunisian, and so forth. And I just find it ironic, you know. This is so political to me. Like, this is like no-winner situation, and things happen because of the choices in the past of the politics. They were poor back home and Europe accepted immigrants, so they kept coming. But when the economy in Europe got bad, they became poor again, and their religion is way different from the Western culture to begin with. So it's easy for them to feel isolated in the first place, and crimes were caused, and soon terrorism started to happen, and you see the reason there, right? That's not the only case. There are so many different types of situations, but I'm just saying that there are situations like that too, you know. I'm just trying to think of what I can do to help the situation, and when I think of that kind of things, I personally feel like there are some other solutions for this type of problems than, you know, what we usually talk about. So like, I just hope that people won't be extremists, you know. Among ISIS, there are even like some former official military people from the past, and so I feel like you can't just look at things as like, oh, some crazy people were killing others or something like that. Like, it has the local situation and also the historical flow. So I strongly believe that we have to look at things in the long term of history and by wide geography. And we shouldn't go with how we feel, you know. Anyways, so considering all these situations, like the security situations, I'm so happy about what Mr. Trump is doing. Like, you know, some people were asking why I could support Muslim people while Mr. Trump is against Muslim people and stuff, but I don't think that Mr. Trump is against Muslim people. Mr. Trump made it clear that he has Muslim friends. He just wants security for American people. He's thinking about American people. Yes, there are Muslim Americans too, but like, it was the election time, so of course he used the taxes to agitate people to get votes and stuff, and we have to be understanding for that, you know. So with everything combined, so far I think that Mr. Trump has been doing great. You may disagree with me in the Middle East policy and stuff, but in Asia, at least in Asia, if Mr. Trump stays as a dragon slayer, then he might actually solve some other problems, such as Islam related stuff, at the same time as he solves problem with the Chinese Communist Party, because everything is so related, you know. So back to Taiwan. Taiwan is a place where there is democracy. How about China? China is a dictated nation. So Mr. Trump is accusing the dictatorship, and he is standing by the people that want democracy. He's standing by the people that want their own society, their own country. I saw some liberals saying like, oh, Mr. Trump is making China angry. He's dangerous. He's gonna cause the World War III before even the inauguration, blah, blah, blah. But people that say stuff like that are idiots. By being close to Taiwanese president, Mr. Trump is stopping China from going too far. Instead of bombing Beijing, because Mr. Trump's policy is so peaceful, he first met the supposed Asian leader, who is the Japanese Prime Minister Abe, and then he, you know, talked to the Taiwanese president on the phone, and also he is inviting the president of the Philippines to the Washington DC. Like, we're convinced that he's already doing things against the violent Chinese Communist Party, and that's out of our hands, which we can't do anything about it, but he's taking the leadership there. Because President Obama will not do anything. He will only make things worse. Even in South Korea, oh my gosh, in South Korea, things are getting crazy there, but that's Obama's fault. Like, not entirely, but he did a lot of, oh my god, like, I need to make a separate video. What the Japanese conservatives are regarding Mr. Trump as is that he is against hegemonism. I don't know where to stress, but hegemonism or hegemonism, I don't know, but he is pro-democracy, right? Against dictatorship, and a lot of Asian people that are sick and tired of the Chinese Communist Party, we are so happy about him for that. Yet liberals bash Mr. Trump as Hitler or dictator still, and are they stupid or something? Like, okay, so the previous president of the Philippines, when he visited Japan, I think that was it last year or so? He name-called China as the Nazi of Asia. The communist China is Nazi. That keeps its expansion. And the World War II broke out because France and Britain took appeasement policy and fueled Nazi that way. And then they couldn't take it anymore and they started to fight. But look at Mr. Trump. He is trying to stop China, the modern Nazi, in a peaceful way, which is the cooperation with other countries, like countries around. And I have to ask, like, what part of that is a dangerous idea, right? Like, I see as Mr. Trump learned from the past, and he is applying the lessons that he learned from the past on today. So I'd like to ask the people that are bashing him for the, you know, relationship with China, like, so you want to keep the relationship with the Chinese Communist Party that are making people suffer in and outside of the country, and expose yourself to their military threat also. Like, Communist China will be patrolling in the west coast of the US with nuclear submarines soon enough. And I wonder when the hell people will stop Communist China. Like, what's the point of being quiet against China right now? Like, why do you have to be nice to China if they are breaking a lot of rules in the international society? Like, why are you not going to stop them? Like, when are you going to stop them, you know? I need to ask the stupid liberals, like, oh, so you think the Chinese Communist Party has the right to deprive the sovereignty of other nations and human rights of others? Like, things don't make sense to me. Oh, you know what's funny? Hillary Clinton would have kept a good relationship with China, though, and invest even more money in the country and benefit her and her rich friends and where is it, like in New York only, and start a war with Russia and make a lot of money sacrificing people's lives, meaning the World War III. Remember how she was agitating the war against Russia, like, oh, Russia is cyber attacking the US, blah blah blah, and oh, there'll be the World War III, blah blah blah. I just remember that Trump's the advertisement where Hillary Clinton was that was so funny. It aired a lot here in Japan as well. So Hillary Clinton is like that, but Mr. Trump, he is really determined. I'm Japanese, but I can tell he has the guts to cut all the vicious circles. It's no wonder that he's a successful businessman. Like, I can see that, you know, like, he's a slayer. Oh, I used to listen to Slayer. He's already fighting against the corrupted politics from the past, and he is and will work for the American people unless others try to stop him too much for their own benefit. I guess that you guys know this way better than I do, but you have to protect Mr. Trump because there won't be many people like him. Now is the time to fix things. And if you fix things in your country, then it will automatically fix other things in Asia accordingly, which is amazing. Because you know why that happens though? Because we're on the same side. That's just what it means. Like, it just means that we're allies, and you will have our Prime Minister Abe as your partner. You will have all the other nations on your side too. And it's either you pick a dictatorship or you pick all the other nations. Again, as a Japanese, as an Asian, I'm very truly thankful for Mr. Trump. No matter how things go from now on, at least he has given me and you this opportunity to talk about what I talked about in this video. Most of the time, people don't get interested in Asian issues, you know. I mean, even if they are, we don't have the opportunities to talk about it and stuff, and there are not many good speakers and stuff. So I'm really happy that I'm here right now with you guys talking about this. So thank you so much guys for watching. I mean, it really means a lot to me. I really want to make this world a better place, and I know that you and I can do it. So but in order to do that, I need to make a living. So if you can help me with Patreon, that would be great. There's so many other things on Asia like I want to tell you about, so make sure that you're subscribed so you'll get my video on your feed, you know, when it's up. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will talk to you later. Be safe. Okay. Bye.